One thing can be said about devotion of Vassily Kovalev. Nerves of steel and a good eye are needed for such a hobby. Vassily Kuzmich creates models of ancient buildings of Uralsk for more than 40 years, using only old photographs, because the city lost many architectural landmarks in the 30s. Vassily Kovalev has an unusual hobby since childhood.
Я еще был мальчишкой маленьким, в первый класс пошел, наверное, уже тогда из ватмана домики делал.
I was still a little boy. I went to the first class, and even then I made houses from watman. At New Year's Eve, such houses were made to put under the New Year tree. In the future, there appeared enthusiasm to portray the old days in models. I made a lot of different models, not only buildings, but also technique.
Много разного размера макетов делал. Не только здания, технику.
Vassily Kovalev was not an architect by education, but a commercial pilot. By plane An-2, Vassily Kuzmich flew 7,000 hours. However, enthusiasm for the history of his native town has covered even the love towards the sky. And in his spare time, the commercial pilot began to collect models of old houses and churches. Many of those were erased from the face of the earth a long time ago and were only on photographs. Over time, the works of Vassily Kovalev were noticed by the Ural lovers of old things, and the master began to receive orders, which Kovalev performed with impeccable precision.
Меня попросили арку триумфальную сделать, где-то в середине 90-х годов прошлого столетия.
20 years ago, I was asked to make a triumphal arch. A few pictures of good quality were given, and I made models of the size which I was asked for according to those photos, and basically it came out.
Делал эскизы в тот размер, который попросили меня. И, в принципе, получилось.
Ark of Tsarevich, that performed the function of the city gate 100 years ago, was built in 1892 in honor of the future Tsar Nicholas II, and 30 years later it was demolished. There are only a few pictures left from it. Due to them, the master was able to reconstruct the object. However, the most difficult job for Vassily Kovalev was manufacturing one of the main architectural attractions of Uralsk, the Cathedral of Christ the Savior.
Трудности были с изготовлением куполов, я их ни с первого, ни с второго раза сделал. Дело в том, что ромбиками.
Difficulties were by manufacturing of domes. I tried to do it a few times. The fact that the domes are covered with rhombi of various sizes that had to be calculated for width and height. I made a few options, one of which stands in the museum. Everything else was easier. Let us say, more time was spent for manufacture of bricks, but herewith they were made simply. Unfortunately, it was not simple to find drawings of the temple, so we had to study for a long time, take photographs, measure parts. It is good the temple has survived to the present day, and I was able to create its model.
Взял рулетку, мерил на самом храме размеры отдельных частей, и согласно вот этих размеров я выполнил все чертежи.
The model of the temple is remarkable in that it is always possible to compare work of the master with the original. The temple is very close to the National Museum, Old Uralsk, where works by Vassily Kovalev are kept. The museum is connected with Vassily Kuzmich by long and fruitful cooperation. Kovalev made most of his works by old photographs, which have been preserved only in the museum. On the basis of these photographs, an Ural ethnographer, Gennady Mukhin, even published a book dedicated to the Old Uralsk. Vassily Kovalev and Gennady Mukhin continued to study old photographs, where Uralsk was depicted 100 years ago. Some of the old buildings in the near future will find a second life as models created by Vassily Kovalev. However, talent of Vassily Kovalev is not limited. In addition to models of old buildings, the master creates exact models of radio-controlled airplanes.
Делал копии самолетов, автомобилей.
I made copies of planes, cars. By the way, I am engaged in aircraft modeling now. I have copies of An-2, Yak-18. In the winter, I will make a copy of PO-2.
Вот сейчас вот посвободнее будет зимой сделаю по 2 копию.
The master has a lot of creative plans in the future to help the collection of the Museum Old Uralsk to get new exhibits, and history devotees will be able to admire the exquisitely crafted models of old houses, whereof only memories and old photos remained.